Hi, I'm Mariusz Bargielski.
And I'm Tamara Jones.
Okay, Tamara, let's talk today a little bit about the production because a lot of things happened the past 2 months, and I think we should actually talk a little bit about that. And it was like on a roller coaster. There were good news, there were bad news. So let's start with the studios. The Paramount Pictures were in negotiation with Skydance Media, and when everybody thought they reached agreement, they actually broke the negotiation. Thank God they came back and the deal was reached, and it's supposed to kick in January, which is still time for both sides to get out of the deal, but also it means that already people will be working to make some improvement with the Paramount financial states. What about the Warner Brothers?
Deep water with Warner Bros. I mean, I can't say that they're alone, but they are a major player in the industry sector that is $40 billion in debt right now, and they are doing what they can to,
Yeah, they sold actually the Burbank studio for almost like 400 million, but this is not enough for the Wall Street and especially for Bank of America. Okay, we also get reports from Global Production Trends, and they are not so optimistic.
Yeah, globally, there has been a 13% decline in production deals from June to May this year. And so that just shows that, things definitely are slowing down. It's not just in your head. However, in APAC industry, it's actually seen an 11% increase. So that's good.
So there is a hope. There is a hope.
Yeah, there is hope. Definitely falling. I guess, this just shows that we're falling into the independent sector, probably really strong, maybe even stronger than ever before. But yeah, and it's because of things like the good news of today, which is the Teamster Union avoided a strike, which
is huge. Actually, it is huge.
Yeah.
Okay, we won't have another strike at least for some time, right?
Yeah.
And now we can really think about coming back and start to work.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it's because of things like this. A lot of this has been about the diversification of streaming services and the diversification of platforms that, performers can entertain on and showcase on, but also AI.
Yeah.
And that has been a huge topic in the industry that, we'll be breaking down actually in our next episode.
Yeah, we'll talk more about that because it is huge. And in case of the Teamsters, actually, there's so many positive things about AI, right? Normally we scare about that, but they're using wisely AI that could benefit actually a lot of projects too. Yeah. All right, so let's move to next segment. And normally we have our guests and talk about different issues with the mental health. But today, let's actually talk with Tamara. And she is kind of godmother for this podcast. They're bringing very important topics about the mental health, mental issues in this industry. And that didn't come just from nowhere, because as a young child, she went through a lot. And we really appreciate, Tamara, opening yourself to our listeners. So you were born in Philadelphia.
Mm-hmm.
And you actually were born and you didn't know your biological father because he left your mom before you were even born.
Yeah, well, I'll go into my past, right? So the topic of mental health is so interesting to me because as it is with a lot of people, millions of people, billions of people around the world, it's like didn't have the easiest time growing up, single parent household, in Philadelphia, not the greatest neighborhoods, definitely moved around a lot. And I think that, when someone's going through their own issues and bringing that into, their adulthood, it it's definitely something that is seen a lot in this industry, which is something that I have always connected to. I've always done so much research and trying to understand, like, what is this factor that is constantly seen throughout the industry? What is that thing that really seems to connect a lot of the individuals that come into this field? And I swear it's like it points to mental health in some capacity. And it's fascinating. I think in every industry you see there are different tiers of like what that is. You know, mental health is in every industry. But in the entertainment industry, especially if you're coming like trying to be in front of the cameras, you are asking for something very specific. I don't think a lot of people realize when they get into this industry exactly what they're asking for by being put in a position where you are online, you are known, you are performing for, you know, as an actor, as a performer, as a personality, as a public figure. And I think that in this industry we've mistaken a lot of what our dreams and like goals we mistaken for something that it's not. So like, in other words, we have a trauma more than anything that's like making this goal for us. And so when people get in this industry and they become successful, all you find half the time, like there's some type of issue that comes with it. Like they either have drug abuse or alcohol abuse or like have some type of psychological breakdown or like something that they're dealing with, and it's often swept under the rug by PR. You know, we do have a whole PR industry that is tied so deeply with this industry that they know what to do. They know how to make this public figure seem the way that they want them to seem. And so, yeah, I think that this industry, this topic and this topic of this industry just interests me so much because of that.
Yeah, and many issues they have actually roots to your childhood. Because yes, we can talk about the young people that suddenly from day to day they reach success, but they were not prepared, and then many of them end up, like you said, with the drugs or alcohol abuse because they were not ready. But if you go deeper into the issue, then you will see that also some things happen actually in their childhood. So you, from the beginning, you were very, very brave. You try to get out as soon as you can.
Yeah, I mean, like I think in Philadelphia in general, you really do have kind of like so many personalities there, and you have plenty of people who, when they are, they're born there and they really get very attached, and they'll never leave, and that's totally okay. You know, Philadelphia has its values in that way. But then you have people who really want to explore, like who feel probably like a little bit suffocated in certain environments in Philadelphia that just spark this thing in you to want to like get out there and see what else there is. And so yeah, I think that was sparked in me pretty early on. So much so, like, I had gotten a scholarship, a presidential scholarship for biology for Newman College.
Yeah, which is completely different from the acting.
So different. Like, I mean, I am so in love with, like, I've always been in love with environmental studies growing up. I did my whole, like, application process was, like, from, SAT scores and, like, scoring high, whatever, in science. And then, like, having my whole senior project be this like elaborate environmental studies thing. It was something that like that was probably my truer passion beyond this, but like I said, when you have mental health triggered traumas, those things may have dreams of their own, and that's what you don't really realize is like it's not quite you sometimes, or it might not be you having a dream if you've gone through some type of hardship or whatever it may be that has molded a trauma inside of you that is now dictating what you think you want or what you aspire to have. But yeah, so like I love biology, and that was like a natural love. And there were a lot of conservatories in New York, especially at that time, and plenty of programs, theater programs, SVA programs that, you know, allowed you to go into this like apprenticeship where you would learn script breakdown, which is where I started the writing passion. Like, you know, I've always loved writing, but that's where I like started getting into the technical aspects of writing, is going through these like programs that dealt with script analysis, audition analysis, things like that. And so once I got into like a couple of programs, I left Philadelphia. I left Pennsylvania immediately.
And you still come to New York as a very, very young person.
Yeah, I was like so young, like end of my teens. And so yeah, when I got over here, it was a very crazy experience going from a place like Philadelphia to a place like New York. And it wasn't like that long ago. I always say like, oh, back in that time, like it was like decades ago. It wasn't that long ago, but in general, New York changes so fast because it's like this big metropolitan city, and it's constantly like rotating. Yeah, like there was just a lot going on, and like a lot of the scares, a lot of the things that I was looking out for, but also there's the competition smacked me in the face like nothing will ever smack you. Like I swear, you've never felt more disposable until you have come into the modeling and acting or talent performing industry like this industry.
But I remember you were, because we know each other for a long, long time now, right?
Yeah, basically when I first came.
Yeah, and I remember you were working as a model, you were working as an actor, you had another jobs to provide for yourself, right?
Yeah.
But also you had time and a passion to help so many directors, and those work you did actually for free, right? You were helping the production, internships, and you learn a lot.
Yeah, and you know, that's another thing is like and not that it's a bad thing, like with this economy, I get it. But the amount of internship programs I've seen, especially after the pandemic, they're almost disappeared. I mean, there's just like no more internships or opportunities that are like that abundant, where you could just go in and learn this industry from the inside out by working with people and for like a couple months. But now it's like basically getting hired, and like you almost get stuck, because now it's like you're going into an internship, you want to be hired for it, and it's like, I did end up going in these fields, but it would be crazy if you're just trying to understand writing, but you go on an internship to a casting office who deals with scripts or deals with writing content, and you end up having to be a casting associate or a casting director instead of like the writer that you initially, like it's less flexible because you're required, more is required of you if you're being paid. But if you're interning under somebody who's like a director, you don't need to be a director, but you learn the whole process of the filmmaking process just by working with them.
Which definitely was very, very beneficial for everybody, right? For the people who gave you this internship, and for yourself, because you can learn a lot of things more than in school. I mean, yes.
The experience, the in-field experience, nothing beats it. You're not going to learn it in a textbook.
That's true. And then, of course, we have pandemic. All of those people who sign up for theatrical programs, acting programs, they actually were taught via Zoom. You have to have this interaction with other people. You have to have...
Yeah. I mean, it's a Zoom class. If you're doing it, at least you're doing something. And sometimes they're less expensive, but there is nothing like being in front of somebody who's teaching you, so that they can see like the whole you that would be presented in front of these opportunities. One of my teachers like used to bring out that I used to shake my foot a lot, or like, And he's like, oh, all your energy is in your foot. And I'm like, you would never know that in Zoom. And it, noticing it, taking notice and taking direction from it changed everything. So I don't know. It's just hard.
All right. So what was for you the biggest change after you moved from Philly to New York?
I would say the biggest change was the open-mindedness, just the mind frame of New York versus the mind frame of Philadelphia. Not, one isn't better than the other. There's just a lot more to the mind frame of a New Yorker. And so it's just like you were free to be who you wanted to be. You were free to explore more of who you were, what that meant to you, and how you were going to apply that to your career.
And I think it's a very beneficial.
Also, the opportunity.
Yeah, you came actually, it was still pretty good because it was after the economy was really down after 2008, 2009. So
I came like 2012, 2013.
Right, so it was a little bit better, right?
Yeah, it was a little bit better. It was like, man, the opportunities were overabundant. And when it's just like, because in New York, you really gotta hustle. If you're gonna stay here, you need to have that hustle mentality unless you're being paid for. But in general, it's like the modeling jobs available, the modeling programs available, the acting.
There was so many great episodics.
A lot, and like so many episodics. There was a lot of TV booming back then, and a lot of huge Marvel movies were like starting to come out back then, and yeah, it's just like it just kept going on and on. It was just like a lot of opportunity that was here, and every sector of any type of topic you can think of or genre you can think of. And so that just made me feel so driven. It made me feel alive. It made me feel like I had endless energy because I was like, I need to explore all of this and see what I can come up with.
And listen, from the perspective, you obviously are the same person, right? You're more mature, but you never really change. You have the same values, which is great.
I'm more. I've collected values. I think that I've matured a lot. I mean, New York, like I said.
In a good meaning, right?
Yeah. Well, I've gone on my own. I've gone on my own personal journeys. Like I said, the mental health issue was such an interesting topic for me because one, I noticed that if you have certain hobbies, if you have certain convictions, whatever it may be, you may find that there is a healing element depending on how it's used and how you apply it in your life. And so that fascinated me because I'm just like, oh, this can heal. You can make yourself better mentally. And I had a lot of amazing teachers, amazing mentors throughout the years that have really emphasized and highlighted to me the trap that you can get yourself into in this industry if you do not take care of your mental state. Because they're like, it's a beautiful industry, it's a beautiful, field. Entertainment, these types of things are the arts sector of life. And so you won't regret it if you don't allow it to mix in a bad way. Just like they say, don't mix friends and business, things like that. It's just like certain things don't cross over very well.
So let's come to my original, let's say, question. So how all the things you went through your childhood play in your adulthood? Can you somehow relate it that it makes you actually better person because you understood more, and especially people who come from that kind of background?
Well, I think that a lot of people will exhibit whatever is their vulnerable aspects of themselves. They're going to exhibit it in different ways. But what I think is happening a lot is that there are general tendencies and mental aspects that tend to pop up when you explore being neglected in any way, growing up or feeling bullied. Like that's a huge thing for a lot of people, going through bullying, going through hardships, or even hardships where you aren't, like this isn't your original place and you had to adapt. Like these things put small little, I guess, trackers on you, trauma trackers, where you're carrying this everywhere that you go. And so I think that narcissism is a common issue that you're going to be seeing, and anxiety, the ego-driven ones, where it's just like you want the love of people, you want to prove that you were worth loving. Like these types of things tend to come out in this industry the most, I've noticed, and those are the underlying things. But like on the surface, outside of your subconscious, you are just like, no, I just have a dream to create art, and like you don't even know what your art is. You don't even know what it is that is your signature in this industry. It's like that's so common. A lot of people don't have a signature. They're just like, I want the healing to those traumas, and they think that this industry is going to heal them. And the very sad thing that I have come to, I think everybody will come to discover, but this industry is not the place for you to heal any type of emotional trauma. It will actually exploit those things and make those things fester even more, because when you come into this industry, you come into that PR world, and that PR world, everything is happy, everything is good, everything is normal. And so you ain't got time, you just don't have time to deal with that emotional stuff. So that stuff is put way on the back burner, where it's gonna fester, especially once you do start getting more in the public eye and getting into public opinion. People don't realize public eye also means public opinion. And when people start giving you their opinions from all over the world, from all sorts of minds, it's like that will mess with your mind that already has stuff that it hasn't dealt with. So I think with me, to answer your question, how it connects with those things in my experiences, I think there is a huge, what I was initially chasing after, which was the spotlight, which is actually not really me. Like my personality, now that I know myself, which I think if you feel like you don't know yourself and you are still quarter life, before 30s, that's fine. I think that in this modern society, it takes you a little bit longer to figure out who you are, because the trends and everything that the online media has made everybody kind of replicate each other. So trying to find out your unique who you are, is getting harder. And so when I finally figured out who I was as a person, I'm like, the person that I truly am doesn't even go in particular, like, specifically to spotlight. I'm not even, like, now that I know myself, I don't even want the spotlight in that regard, where it's like, pretend that everything is not what it is, and just be looked at and smile for the cameras and like go through that whole thing. So yeah, I think that's very important. But through that, I also found, wow, all the internships and all of the programs and like the conservatories, that has all brought me on this very unique, custom path where it's like, I love the whole thing. Like, I don't just like being in front of the camera. No, I like even the technical, the technical aspects of it. The administrative aspects are, no one likes anything administrative. It's just, but like the aspects of filmmaking, the whole process is such an interesting and fascinating process. And I'm like, of course, that would probably interest me more as my personality of like undergoing a process that will get you a product. No matter how complicated or complex that process is. And it tickles the creative side. So I still have that aspect. And now your girl is writing, she's producing, and also if you want to throw a role, then she's acting. It's definitely been more diversified because of healing those traumas.
But I think also I'm sure you agree, you are a very, very strong person. You have very strong personality. And I think you are lucky enough that you were able to come through so many different struggles by yourself. And many people, they just can't.
Yeah, I mean, and that is a part of any type of stress. Like any type of stressor, environmentally, mentally, relationship-wise, these things, when you get through and you truly do become that much stronger than you were before you had the stress. So I think that applies like in all of the nuanced ways that it applies. It just, each individual, including myself, using those stresses to like propel you out of that situation. Just use it, turn it into energy, apply it to life, see the results.
So in previous episodes, we talked with our guests about different mental health issues, and all of them they really stress to not being by yourself and not keeping inside of you your problems you have, because sometimes the small problems become bigger and bigger and bigger, and then obviously you can't deal with that by yourself anymore. But I think the whole process, it starts when you actually should be able to open to the other people and talk about your problems, your stress.
Yeah, and like, these times are so complicated because a lot of people are kind of showing more of their vulnerabilities, but they're doing it in a way that's really unnatural, like on a screen, to a phone, showing their vulnerabilities that other people see from their screens and their devices. And so, yeah, like I think that expressing yourself is definitely important in any way that you have to. Like, you don't have to say it on camera, but if you just express it in like by going to get therapy or exploring philosophies more. It doesn't have to be any kind of religion. It can literally just be a philosophy that has nothing to do with your immediate problems, but just something about life, about the universe. I just think that these are the ways that you need to find your expression if you can.
And we don't want to give anybody some advice about their life because everybody has their own path. But as a person who came to New York as a very, very young person, what you will give as advice to young people who come to New York? And we're talking about this industry. They graduate from schools and they're going to New York, or what they really expect. That's another question, right?
Yeah, I think the biggest advice I would give a person coming into this industry, if they were running from something or if they feel like they are trying to escape something, I would double, triple check with your immediates, you know, your community, your collegiate community, your family community, or even just the community of mental professionals. Just consult with them and tell them what's going on, you know, like express what's going on. Don't hold back too much and try and put on a facade of a personality that you think you are supposed to be versus just putting on who you actually are, because it holds you back so much in so many ways. You will make this mistake. It will travel in everything you're doing.
And still is this kind of having the shame to talk with the specialist, right? Which sometimes it's completely misunderstood, because few minutes talk with the specialist or therapist, right? It can solve maybe not all your problems, but definitely help you to go through it much easier.
Yeah, like get some advice on it, get some, you know, names for some of the stuff that you're experiencing, so that you can really like understand, like, hey, this is who you are. This is not who you are. Like, you know, get some things sorted and know who you are, so that you don't waste years. Like, you can waste, this industry will let you waste as many years as you want out of your life. It will not try and correct you. It will not give you answers. It's just going to take up your existence. So you might as well understand exactly what you want, so that you can go in the right direction immediately, especially now. The options just aren't there like as much as they were before. So you really got to know, like, hey, I have a love for like this, and make sure that you would do that even if it was for free. That's the biggest. That's the biggest filter that I think you can apply. It's just like, am I doing this where I would just do it even if I weren't going to get paid for it? And 95% of the people in this industry would absolutely not.
And listen, we all have an ego, and of course all of us wants to go to after party, right, or have the picture taken on the wall, and that's natural. But this is not the core of this industry, or not the core, the thing you love. In your case, as an actor, if you don't feel inside that this is something, this is your love, then you shouldn't be in this industry.
Yeah, if you find yourself like dreading another day, you know, with the grind, because it's a grind. I mean, to get anywhere in this industry, you're gonna go through a lot. You're gonna work a lot, and you can either work where that work gets progressed to you, or you work and nothing happens.
No, and it won't get easier. The stress you will have, and then eventually, even if you have some success, then it will become even worse, because you will be afraid to lose.
Yeah, because nothing is, you know, there's no tenure here. You're not going to be grandfathered into this industry. In fact, in this industry, they kind of are looking for reasons to get you out, so that they can make room for new, because or more. You know, like, just everybody wants to see the next thing faster. They just, people's attention spans are really short. It applies.
Another thing I would probably stress too, especially in this industry, but also in other fields, like try to have around you the people that are very optimistic and not have the negative impact on you. Because that's really drawing you from your energy, from your health as well. You worry about the things that you shouldn't worry, and you don't have any control of that. You know, try to have around you very positive people that really try and care about your success. And that also not just the industry, but also the relationship. Like, look in your personal life, what is your relationship with anyone you have?
So yeah, I mean, I think that when you find your true passions, and you find your true meaning to like, you know, what you love, it's so much easier to enjoy.
And do enjoy actually every day, because You never know what happened next day. And try to live this life on the highest level. Tamara, thank you so much
Of
for
course.
opening yourself to our listeners.
Yeah, hopefully, if you're out there, if you can find any type of connection.
We already invite you to write to us. We'll be happy to invite the guests specifically for the topics, right?
Yeah, let's hear your stories, guys.
Yes. So yes, if you like our podcast, please subscribe,
Like, share.
turn on notifications so you don't miss anything.
Yes.
And yes, be with us.
And we will see you on another episode of Unveiling the Entertainment.